Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm excited for you to get to know today Katie Piura. Welcome, Katie. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Gordon. Thank you for having me. I've been listening to your podcast, and I love how you make every guest feel welcomed and at ease, and all the great tools you teach to clinicians.
Well, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. And Katie, as I start with everyone, tell folks a little more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon. So I'm a licensed therapist, coach, and also I'm the founder of Haven Youth Counseling, which is a practice located in the Miami area and also serves the DC metro area. So I started, working in agencies like government settings, university settings, nonprofits. And throughout my time there, I realized that I wanted to continue to helping clients, but I wanted to help clients differently. I realized that in those settings, there was a lot of experiences that I gained, but I was starting to experience some kind of burnout. And so it wasn't until I got hired to work at a group practice in the DC area where I was practicing before that I really started enjoying the private practice side of things and realized that I also had an entrepreneurship side. So
Hmm.
entrepreneurship actually runs in my family. Like my parents are entrepreneurs. A lot of my family members are entrepreneurs. And I didn't realize that I also had that skill in me. So I started, in working at a group practice, I started realizing how the business side of private practice could intersect with the clinical side. And now I started my own practice and help clinicians also start their own.
And I know as we were just kind of chatting about a little bit before we started, and also just what I know about you is that you had brought up the fact that most graduate programs don't teach us any of the business skills or the entrepreneurial side or the operational side of running a practice. And so it's stuff, as I like to say, we have to learn the hard way. And I think it's good that we have folks like you that are willing to teach folks about all of that. And so, yeah, so I know one of the things that is a big part of this, a big piece of this, are the mindset changes we have to make. So, what have you learned about that, and what did you notice when you went into private practice that changed for you, and just thinking about it all?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really, really good question. So, one of the things that I realized when I went into private practice is that I thought that I knew it all, that I
Mm.
thought because I had this entrepreneurship sort of side of me and passionate side of me, and that because I also had so many years being a clinician, that was going to be sufficient for me to start a practice on a strong foundation. And I was really like, there was like this huge knowledge gap as well, because like you said earlier, Gordon, graduate programs are not don't typically incorporate business training in their curriculum. And so there was a lot of unknowns for me that I was starting things basically on trial and error. And I was, like I said, I thought that I didn't really need a lot of help. And in my work with clinicians now, I also discover that there are other clinicians who feel the same way, because we are helpers. We believe that we might not need help ourselves. And so that
Mm.
really deters clinicians from seeking support when it comes to the business side of things. And so I realized that on my own, and I realized with the clinicians that I help. And so one of those mindset shifts is sort of like, how do you take off the helper hat and receive help yourself? Because
Mhm.
it is important for your practice to have a strong foundation, for you to also learn about business strategies and learn a little bit more of the intersection of the clinical side of things and the business side.
Oh, right, right. And I would add to that that I think anyone going into private practice, it's always good to have supports available for you because, yeah, it can get really lonely in private practice, especially as a solo practitioner, of just not having the people to network with or just bounce ideas off of and all of that sort of thing, particularly around the business side of things. I know I'm grateful for the mastermind group that I'm part of with my good friends. And it just helps me when we get together, just kind of talk through things. I mean, it's kind of like therapy in a way, but it's not.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think I am also grateful. So for me, it was like I had mentors who were coaching me.
Hmm.
I think that the hard part is when you're first starting out is, the investment that you can have on certain things is limited. But thankfully, I had, some of my mentors kind of coaching me through things, and I was learning that way. I've always been like an eager learner, so I was learning that way. I found a business coach that was helping me on a sliding scale, and I was learning from him. And then I also discovered Joe Sanek's Practice of the Practice program,
Hmm.
and they have a monthly membership. So I thought like that monthly membership was reasonable, and I learned, so much from that. And then I ended up enrolling in an entrepreneurship program for Latinas. And
Hmm.
so for me it was like, all right, like I do need help when it comes to this. And I really love, that there are actually supports out there for
Yeah.
clinicians.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, besides, receiving help for yourself, what other mindset shifts did you notice that you were making? I know you came from an entrepreneurial background, so that's a leg up a little bit. So, but yeah. So, what other things did you notice?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think a big mindset shift is also think this thought that somehow being a clinic that starting up that having a practice as a clinician is really at the odds with business. It's like, how do you view the business from a different lens?
Hmm.
Um, and for me, it came a lot from also in grad school, right? Like there was this quote that was often referred to, and you might have heard it before too, is that we're not in it for the income, we're in it for the outcome. And although I
Hmm.
believe that is true, and starting a practice is should not be money driven, that's not the why for your practice. And I actually don't recommend that, because your practice is not going to be sustainable if that's your why. Um,
Hmm.
but there needs to be some mindset shifts when it comes to business and money, right? Because if you
Hmm.
do start it as a business, you technically legally have to make a profit, right? Or unless you'll get in trouble with the IRS if you don't.
Hmm.
Right. And you deserve to also make a livelihood. So the way you run your business, I'm sorry, the way you run your practice needs to be in alignment with your goals and values, your business goals, and also
Hmm.
how you want to serve clients. And so the mindset shift is how you view money, right? Instead of being viewing money as an enemy, look at it as an asset, and look at it
Hmm.
as a door that's going to open doors for you to help clients, right?
Hmm.
Because that's what I found, right? Like being at the odds with business, being at the odds with money, as if that somehow was wrong, right? But it really is about, like, if you're able to like sustain yourself, sustain your practice, you down the line are gonna probably have opportunities to be able to help others. You could create scholarship spots in your practice. You could donate to the causes that you want to donate to. So I think the mindset shift is how business and money are viewed.
Right. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a hard one for a lot of people because, like you had mentioned, all of us have kind of hearts of the helper hearts. And so we want to help people. And you're exactly right. I don't think you should go into this without that being at the core of what you want to do as far as helping people. But as you mentioned, if a practice is not making a profit, it's not going to be able to help people anymore because you've got to pay yourself. You've got to make a living, unless you've got tons of money tucked away and just starting a nonprofit or something. But even at that, even nonprofits have to make a profit in order
That's true.
to stay open. And so that's the bottom line for any business or any sort of profession.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing too that you mentioned, Katie, that I think is important for people to remember is that money is just a vehicle. I mean, it's just a tool maybe to help you do the things that you want to do. It's what, unfortunately or unfortunately, that's what keeps everything going for everyone is the money that exchanges and the economics and all that kind of thing. And so just to look at it as a tool is I think is an important piece rather than an enemy.
Yeah, and it could also help reduce burnout in some way,
Hmm.
right? If you set the fees that are uh, that align with maybe the work-life balance you're looking for as well, it could help reduce burnout and help you even dedicate more time to quality care in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think too, as you mentioned, I think everyone has to check in with their why. What is it that you're wanting to gain by going into private practice? And if, I tell people all the time, if you don't have kind of a entrepreneurial bent or a little bit of that that drive to do kind of the entrepreneurial thing, it's probably better that you continue to work for an agency or work for a group practice somewhere. But it sounds like that's been so much part of your background that it was important for you to meet that need.
Yeah, it was definitely important for me to meet that need. I didn't know I had to do some soul searching because I didn't know I reached a point where I was like I had worked in so many different jobs that I reached a point of like what job do I do next? And I even had a moment where I was just like, do I want to continue being a clinician? Is this what I want to is this what I want to continue to do? Because I was experiencing that burnout that I was telling you about. And so it
Hmm.
wasn't through kind of that soul searching and that I realized, that it isn't necessarily the mental health field that I want to exit from. It's the way I'm doing it.
Hmm.
Um, and through private practice, I was able to really resonate with many things like, speaking to your ideal client, working with the clients that align with your strengths and having kind of that freedom to do so as opposed
Hmm.
to agencies where you take what they give you. And so I was able to realize that wow, this like really resonates with me. And like if I feel like I'm taking care of myself in the way that I'm working, then I'm showing up better and I'm actually
Hmm.
helping clients solve or bring or speak to my client pain points in a more authentic way.
Hmm.
And so it did for me take a lot of like soul searching like the entrepreneurship side was there. On the side I was already starting like a makeup business where I was doing providing makeup services, and so I knew there was, like you said, that entrepreneurship bit, but I had to shift that mindset of like, wait, can entrepreneurship happen as a clinician? Like, is that even appropriate? And I realized, you know what, like it can, and it can actually make a difference.
Yeah, and it speaks to as well the importance of creating a niche for yourself that is something you're passionate about and something you enjoy. And like you mentioned as well, it really, I think, ultimately makes us much better clinicians when we're working with our ideal client and we're not experiencing the burnout from being working with people or the types of things that just don't energize us. So, yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
important. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that actually segues, Gordon, into the mindset shift of marketing being a self-centered thing. What I'm
Hmm.
noticing is that a lot of time that some clinicians view marketing and putting yourself out there as being salesy, as being self-focused. But
Hmm.
the reality is that marketing speaks to the pain points and speaks to what your ideal clients need to hear from you, right? Like
Right.
it isn't just about sales, it's also a way that your ideal client gets a preview of what it is like to work with
Mm-hmm.
you, and is able to also see you as a resource. Like if you're an educator, so to speak, and you love educating clients on mental health, you could do that through the social media channels. You could do that through the blog, so to speak. You don't have to do videos if that's not what you enjoy, but you can share snippets of your resources, and that's a way where clients get to know that style of you and actually see you as a resource, and can even help clients who may not necessarily be ready for therapy or may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily uh, have the insurance or the financial capacity to work with you right away, but you're already being a resource. So you blending your resourceful strengths with marketing isn't it isn't just isn't necessarily self-centered. It actually ends up helping people as well.
Yeah, there's that old adage that you can build it, but you've got to tell them about it for them to come. And so, yeah, I always, there are plenty of clients out there for all of us, and I think to add to what you're saying is that marketing helps those people find you. And so, if they don't know about you, they're not going to be able to come to you. So, marketing is a way for them to be able to find you, and that I think that's a great way to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I think it really is about changing kind of how you view marketing and even getting help with marketing, right? Like,
Hmm.
and getting support around that and how to do that if that's not something that is necessarily your strength.
Well, Katie, I know you've put together a little course, or so tell folks about that.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon. My course is called the Private Practice Start. The Private Practice Start is a 5-week program that teaches therapists how to launch their practice with through business strategies. So you'll hear from me, but you'll also hear from experts in business, marketing, and accounting. And so I started this, Gordon, as seeing the knowledge gap that there can be, and I really wanted for this to be a way for clinicians to learn about how to use their their strengths, how to really reflect on their mission and vision, their why, and also
Mm-hmm.
that intersection of the clinical side of things and business. And yeah, so it's a 5-week program. It actually begins tomorrow, April 11th. But
Okay.
if I know it's a little short notice, but if it is going to be recorded and available for access if you
Hmm.
can't be part of the dates. And yeah,
Okay. Okay. And we'll have links in the show notes and the show summary for people to get that easily. So, Katie, I guess I've got to be aware of our time and your time. Any parting thoughts that you have for folks?
if starting a practice has been on your mind and you didn't receive the knowledge on the business side of
Mm-hmm.
starting a practice, you shouldn't let that stop you. There are
Mm-hmm.
resources out there. You being a helper does not mean that you don't deserve help yourself. there
Mm-hmm.
there are people out there like Gordon, like Joe Sanek, even myself, right, who are there to help you. There are so many resources out there, so you shouldn't let that stop you. And I do have like a special message for BIPOC clinicians as well. As BIPOC clinicians, we haven't received a lot of mentorship. There aren't really a lot of BIPOC clinicians doing what we see
Mm-hmm.
ourselves doing. Um, but that doesn't mean that you can't be successful. You have it in you. And the odds that you have overcome as a BIPOC clinician is a testament of your ability to also be able to achieve the success that you want to achieve. And yeah, those are my last words.
All right. All right. Well, that's great. And again, we'll have Katie tell folks your website so they can maybe, if they're listening or driving or whatever, they'll be able to get to it.
Yes, thank you. KatiePura.com. And you can also find me on Instagram, KPura, LCSW.
All right. And again, we'll have links in the show notes and the show summary for all those places. And again, Katie, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Gordon, for having me. It's been great.